Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of the 8 o'clock spot live here on the Gryd Network's YouTube channel. As always, I am Bryson Carver, very excited to be back. It is episode 46. How'd that happen on the 8 o'clock spot? Tons to talk about today, related mostly to the world of the National Football League. We've got two fantastic guests on tap with you guys tonight. First of all, contributor to the Gryd Network, and by the way, back-to-back champion, I believe, on the 8 o'clock spot. It's Arthur Hurst. Arthur, how you doing tonight, my man?
What's going on, man? We about to try to three-peat tonight. Other than that, let's get to it.
Listen, we got Steelers-Ravens this week. We're obviously going to get to the Steelers to start the show. We know those games tend to be just all-out wars. When it comes down to it, so very, very excited for that. We've also got Tyler Redington, who has been on the show multiple times, Gryd Network contributor. Tyler, how you doing tonight, my man? I think you muted, Tyler. We can't hear you.
Yes, sir. I'm good, man. You got the Mavs at your Warriors tonight. I'm super excited about that. It's the NBA Cup, Clay's return. And, man, you should be feeling good about your Steelers.
I'm feeling good about the Steelers. I'm feeling good about the Warriors. Listen, it's an emotional return for Klay Thompson. That's going to be that's going to be tough to kind of soak in. But listen, he's definitely pulling for him. The 78 other games a year, just not when he's facing the Golden State Warriors. But that aside, we got a lot to get into. But first and foremost, let's look at our leaderboard right now in the 8 o'clock spot, and it looks something like this. How about Arthur Hurst has jumped into first place with 81 points. He's followed by Mike Guido, and there's Barry Grant Jr. In third. And then you look up and down the list, you got other names on that list as well. Let's go and get into our rules for the 8 o'clock spot. It's pretty simple, folks. The best take gives 5 points. The second best take gives you 3 points. Third best take gives you 1 point. Let's go to our first topic of the night. The Steelers, my Steelers, getting a big-time win on the road in Washington, down to the wire by a single point, 28-27 over the Commanders, getting the job done. Steelers on a 4-game winning streak. They're 7-2. They're at the top of the hotly contested, as always, AFC North. I'll ask you first, Arthur. Ever since Russell Wilson's been inserted in this offense, it's looked like a different football team. We know what Mike Tomlin, the Steelers defense led by TJ Watt, are going to do. But I'll ask you, in an AFC that's got great quarterbacks and great teams across the board, are the Steelers a Super Bowl contender? Can they go on a deep playoff run?
My guy, listen, you and me have been very cool ever since we were introduced to each other, and you my guy. You know what I'm saying? I enjoy myself on here every Tuesday with you hosting. But I'll be damned if you think that on the week Steelers and Ravens that I'm going to say yes, that y'all are Super Bowl contenders. Hell no. Get out of here, bruh. I ain't sending you no Christmas card. Absolutely not. But in all seriousness, though, the Steelers have been great, right? The offense, we already know what the defense is going to do. The offense has looked like it has really evolved with Wilson at the quarterback helm. And it's been very exciting to watch. Pickens has really been able to get himself involved and going. Najee Harris and Jalen Warren, they look like they're able to be able to run and do whatever they want to do in the passing game. And Russell Wilson has definitely been at the core of all of that. But I mean, look at who you guys have beaten. The Jets just lost by 25 to the Cardinals. The Giants just lost by 3 to the Panthers. So the win versus the Commanders was very convincing. It was very nice for morale and confidence, and it was a great chess move to win the game at the end of that by Mike Tomlin. But you guys have the Ravens twice, or are you guys going to be able to kill that pass defense, which is the number one priority that the Ravens have to fix the rest of the season? You have the Bengals, who are trying to really get going after a very slow start, even though Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow have been playing extremely well. The Eagles, will you be able to contain Saquon Barkley the way that you've been able to contain the run all year on defense? And then the Chiefs, somehow still undefeated because of Mahomes' magic, the defense, and you just saw this past Sunday, the special teams. So I want to say right now they're Super Bowl contenders, but I just can't. I want to see what you guys do the rest of the season against people that are legit Super Bowl contenders.
I mean, I would combat that and say, hey, listen, they beat an Atlanta Falcons team on the road. They beat Denver. Now, albeit that was Bo Nix on the road. That was that's a situation where Bo Nix isn't quite as developed. They beat the Chargers. They've beaten good teams in the stretch. I think Washington's a good team, but listen, if I learned nothing else in that take, it's the fact that, listen, you were talking about how great the Pittsburgh Steelers are, and they've got all these pieces, except they're just not a contender. Nonetheless, respect to you, Arthur. To you now, Tyler. And I'm actually going to step out for a second. I can hear your take on my monitor, so I just want to put that out there so I can hear your take. But I do want to know what you think. Are the Steelers Super Bowl contenders as I get my Wi-Fi hooked back up here?
Whenever you have Mike Tomlin as the coach, yes, you are a contender. And, the games have been super close. They have never been blown out. And I owe Russell Wilson an apology. A couple of weeks ago, I actually tweeted, and I thought his career was over. He's coming in and playing some really, really good football. The Steelers have a lot of opponents ahead, but the way they're able to just play with anybody, that's a postseason formula for success. There's going to be a good test against the Ravens this week, and they also have the Chiefs still remaining. But this is a roster coached by a guy that, yes, can contend in the playoffs. Since he's going to be good, Chiefs are going to be good. I think that Pittsburgh, the way they fight, their offense, their defense now, yes, they are going to be a contender.
Listen, I love it. I appreciate that. And listen, Mike Tomlin we know no losing seasons in his career in this time in Pittsburgh. And that for years, I was, as a Steelers fan, I'm like, okay, that's great. Don't have the losing season, but what's the ceiling? Is the ceiling what Mike Tomlin is reaching in terms of just kind of barely skating by, being the 7th seed, getting whacked by a true contender in the first round? But again, you're seeing a different level of this offense. You're seeing, again, the organizational stability that the Steelers have always brought to the table. Now they're bringing a good group of talent into the building. So I think it's a good take on your part, Tyler. We've got a third guest, by the way. He may have been just a little bit late to the party, but very excited to have on. If he could go ahead and get his camera turned on right now. It is actually my co-host on the Triple Option Radio Show. You can find us on TuneIn, the TuneIn app, every Monday from 10 a.m. Eastern to noon, and every Friday at noon Eastern to 1 o'clock on Fridays. Would you please welcome Asher Moore for the very first time to the 8 o'clock spot? Asher, my man, how you doing tonight?
Doing fantastic, Bryson. Good to see you. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. It's excited to have you on the show. So I'll go and ask you right off the bat, see what you think right here. You got 2 minutes. Are the Pittsburgh Steelers, as currently constituted, are they a Super Bowl contender?
I think there's no way that you can say they aren't a Super Bowl contender. I mean, look at how they've played since Russell Wilson stepped in and kind of took the reins at quarterback. It's almost, I won't say it's vintage Russell Wilson because the play style is very different, but it's giving me flashbacks to the way that Russell Wilson could just kind of will the Seahawks to wins. There were a lot of times when he was in Seattle where it was obvious that Russ was the best player on the field, and he was going to lead that Seahawks team to a victory no matter what. Now, maybe Russ has slowed down in terms of how he gets out of the pocket. Maybe the arm strength has gone down just a little bit, but that deep ball, especially the deep ball we saw to Mike Williams in that game against Washington, it looks beautiful. It's got a lot of arc on it, and Russell Wilson is still confident throwing the deep ball. So in terms of just like a schematics and quarterback play, I think the Steelers are miles ahead of where they were this time last year, I'll say. And that team last year made the playoffs. Now you look at that defense, and I mean, you got stars everywhere across the field. So you can look at that defense. That the Super Bowl is a game that will be determined by defenses. We see it a lot of the times. We saw it, especially last year. Kansas City's defense showed, just how good they were. They flexed their muscles against the 49ers and ended up kind of being what the Chiefs could lean on to win that game. And I think it's going to be very similar this year. Going to need defense to win this championship. And Pittsburgh, they got a mighty fine defense there too. And the quarterback play, the defense, and then the weapons outside with Mike Williams and George Pickens. Look out, anyone who has to play them in the AFC or the Super Bowl.
I love the point you made about the deep ball in the sense that, you talk about a Steelers team that has the deep threat in George Pickens. Now they obviously just had Mike Williams earlier this past week during the trade deadline. But you're talking about the fact that with as talented as George Pickens was, be it with Kenny Pickett, be it with Mason Rudolph, be it Rudolph did it to a certain degree. Trubisky did not, just being able to push the ball down the field, which now that the Steelers are able to do that with Russell Wilson and Pickens, and now Mike Williams, as you mentioned, now all of a sudden the running game opens up for guys like Najee Harris, Jalen Warren. So it's a different dynamic, and it's taking us off to a new level. Asher, I'm actually going to give you the best take. You get 5 points onto our next round. So Asher, followed by Arthur, I'm going to give him the second best take at 3, and Tyler at 1 point. But we're just getting started here on problems once again. Looks like I'm back on here. All right, let's move on to our second topic. Let's talk about the Chicago Bears, who just fired their offensive coordinator today, Shane Waldren. So you talk about Caleb Williams had a passer rating in the mid-60s. The next 3 games after that, Caleb has a passer rating somewhere around somewhere around 120, and then the past few games, really dating back to the Hail Mary loss to Washington, the passer rating is back down to the 60s. So it's been kind of a roller coaster, and the Bears decided to move on from their OC. So I'll start with you, Tyler. Was this the right move for Chicago to fire Shane Waldren?
Yes, it was, but they should have fired way more people. Eberflus should have been gone a long time ago. Last year, Poles should have fired him. You might want to look at Poles too. This organization is a mess right now. They're saying that they fired the coordinator because of Williams' play. Well, you think that he's the only reason Williams is playing that bad? I mean, from this is a great defense. They're wasting him, and it's easy to make the coordinator the scapegoat. But Eberflus with this team should have had them playing way better. Should have had them. They were competing early in the season. They played a couple good games. But with this roster, you just drafted Caleb Williams. I mean, you let Fields go when they were playing really good last year, and now you got Caleb Williams at helm, and you want to make this the coordinator the scapegoat? No, if I'm ownership of this team, I'm looking at the GM and I'm looking at the coach. They're both gone.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of been an issue is I think dating back to the Hail Mary game against Washington, I think Eberflus has straight up lost the locker room. Like, I think just how that game played out, some of the play calling offensively in the fourth quarter was simply atrocious. And again, like, sure, some of the blame goes on Caleb. He's taking some of these sacks, but the O-line's not very good. It's, some of the schematics, like Chicago the last few weeks doesn't look prepared. And keep in mind, these are the last 3 games off of a bye week. So that's a big problem for Chicago. So I think you're right in the money. I don't know if Asher's back ready to go. If he is, we'll go to him. Asher, I will ask you, should the Chicago Bears have fired their offensive coordinator, Shane Waldren?
So I don't think so, Bryson, and here's why. Look, the NFL these days has turned into a league where organizations are making moves almost off of impulse. We see it a lot of the time, especially with young quarterbacks. They're giving their guys maybe a year, maybe you get a year to prove yourself. Maybe you even get like 5 or 6 games to prove yourself worthy. And I don't think that that's a winning strategy. We've seen players be successful in the past, however, with a lot of coordinator changes. We saw that happen with Alex Smith in San Francisco. And he had 4 coordinators in 4 years there. So, and then he had a successful career. So it's definitely possible with a lot of changing in terms of play calling and schematics and stuff like that. But it becomes a lot harder for a guy, especially as young as Caleb Williams, to continue to endure a lot of these changes in the organization.
Yeah, not having a stability really hurts him, and that's often what we see from number 1 overall picks. It's like the opposite of college. The best players go to the best programs, and then in the NFL, it's the reverse of that. But like you said, I mean, the Bears have been, and sort of going back to Tyler's original point, the Bears have been an abject disaster over the course of their really the last 40 plus years, dating back to their last Super Bowl. And again, it's not setting the quarterback up for success, and some of that does go on the play calling, and some of that goes to just not building that continuity that's necessary to be successful. So I think that's a good take on your part, Asher. To you, Arthur, should the Chicago Bears have fired Shane Waldren?
Honestly, Bryson, I don't care about the firing. I really don't. Does it help the offensive line? Do they get better in any way because he's gone? If it's not a yes to that question, I really don't care about him getting fired. How are you top 5 in run win block percentage at 74%, but in pass block win percentage, you're 61%? And I understand they have had multiple injuries throughout the season. I will give them grace on that. But dude, this isn't something that we've just been talking about this year with Caleb Williams. This is something we have been talking about for I don't know how long, about how bad the Chicago Bears offensive line is. And they have never, ever legit addressed it. Oh, let's just go get skill players. Oh, let's get another quarterback. Oh, bruh, it does not matter. The same thing is happening. The quarterback can't do what they want to do or need to do to help the team win. Yes, it looked good on the early on. And then, like you said, right after that Hail Mary pass, it all just went downhill from there. And they just seemed to not be able to score points and really be able to just get things together. That it hurt Justin Fields. It hurt Mitch Trubisky. And Caleb Williams, it seems like, is going to be the latest victim of, again, you saw it about how just bad this organization has been run. There's no sustainability. There's no continuity. It just looks like everybody is doing their own thing. And as somebody from the coach said, nobody's working, right? Nobody's coming to work ready to work. It just seems like this locker room is so lost. And again, it starts with the offensive line. It has for years. And until they address that problem, it doesn't matter who they get in the offseason or who they draft. And if you cannot protect the quarterback, you're not going to be good in the long run.
You're 100% right. Like you're protecting your investment, right? Like there's an ultimate, there's a saying I heard years ago, and I've never forgotten it. Like with an offensive line is the only time you think about an offensive line, it's like an air conditioning system is when it's not working. And that's kind of the case with the O-line for Chicago right now. Like if you like compare them to the Chargers, right? Compare them to what Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers did, where sure they could have used some weapons. They could have drafted they could have drafted Brian Thomas Jr. They could have drafted Malik Neighbors, any of those guys. They said, you know what? We got to protect our asset. We got to protect the guy who's the face of our franchise, Justin Herbert. They draft Joe All, and now look what the Chargers are doing. They're 6-3. Different team, different structures, but that's why the Chargers have been successful, and a big reason, to your point, why the Bears have not been. Arthur, I'm going to give you the best take of the 7, get you to 8 points here, and the lead followed. I gave Tyler 4, but Tyler 3 points for the second best take, but he's got 4 and is in third. Asher Moore at 6 points. Of course, the top 2 point getters get to the final round. So let's move on to last night's game, the Miami Dolphins and the Los Angeles Rams. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I was a little bit surprised by the outcome of this game. Understanding, obviously, Miami, this was a do or die situation for them. They lose, they're 2-7, their season is over. But they go into Los Angeles against a Rams team that's healthy, that's hot, that's humming, that's playing good football. They go in and win that game 23-15. There's a stretch in the there's a stretch in the second half of this game where we literally had 3 consecutive turnovers on 3 consecutive drives by these different teams. It was far from an aesthetically pleasing football game, but nonetheless, the Dolphins get it done. So, Asher, I'll ask you first. The Dolphins are 3-6. The AFC is just as crazy as ever. Can they get in the playoffs as currently constituted?
Oh, Bryson, I'm going to start by looking at their next 2 games. You get the Raiders and then the Patriots. Look, that's 2 very winnable games. Tua's back and healthy, seems to be getting more and more of a rhythm as time goes on, kind of readjusting to the offense after, forced to take the break that he had to take. But I think the Dolphins are in a decent position. Now, look, you're 3-6. It's still an uphill battle from here. However, that win against a very good Los Angeles team. Let's not forget how good this Rams team really is. I mean, they're very much a contender in the NFC West, and the Dolphins, they got a win that they needed to have. So they win the next 2 games. They're 5-6 right there. You're 1 game under 500, and a team that's 1 game under 500 is just in striking distance, especially with how chaotic the AFC is going to be down the stretch in the wild card conversation. I think so. You look at the weapons on this team. They're getting healthy. You got Tua back, like I mentioned, starting to get kind of more in a swing. Now the turnovers, got to limit turnovers. I mean, that's kind of like the football thing. Like everyone knows in football, you have to limit turnovers. The Dolphins are going to have to do that down the stretch. You're going to have to see some incredible plays from Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. Raheem Mostert, I think, is going to have to be a big part out of the running back position as well. But I think the Dolphins are in reach of a playoff spot. It's an uphill battle, but you got 2 easy games coming up. Get a little momentum into that game against Green Bay, which I think is going to be a huge one for their season.
For sure, if they're able to win that. By the way, that game's on Thanksgiving night in Lambeau Field, so definitely there could be a lot of attention on that one. And to your point, that's you talk about the weapons Miami has. You talk about the fact, by the way, they have one of the more creative offensive play callers in Mike McDaniel, who's from the Kyle Shanahan tree. So some creative running plays, getting the ball to your playmakers outside, and Tyreek Hill finally is able to get in the end zone for the first time, I believe, since week 1. So Tyreek was good. I'm sorry, Tyreek did not score in this game. I apologize. But he was really good. But I thought overall, Tyreek Hill did score. What am I looking at? No, Tyreek Hill was effective. The weapons they've got. I got a mid-tail. I'm watching this game, and then I'll move to Arthur. The Rams and the Dolphins. You know what they need? A good possession tight end on third down and a good red zone target. Like I'm watching these 2 very good offensive play callers, quarterbacks. Stafford's obviously better than Tua. I think most of us would agree, but they could use that kind of good possession third down tight end. But nonetheless, I'll move to you. Arthur. Can the Dolphins at 3-6 get in the playoffs?
I believe so. According to NFL.com, they have a 10% chance to do so. Right now, their division doesn't look so hot. The Bills are really the only ones that's in there trying to do something and thriving. And right now, they're tied with the Jets at 1-2. I have them finishing their division run this season at 3-3 and going 4-4 over these next few games. I think they'll drop one of the 2 to the Jets just because I believe that Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams is going to have a vintage touchdown win against them. But other than that, it's like Asher said, right now this team is really getting back to being just healthy. And that's been their biggest problem this year with Jalen Waddle being out for a little bit, Tua having to be out, And it just seemed like, man, this team looks so dead in the water with those two being out, and Tyreek's not able to be where he needs to be for this team, mostly because, the person that's, throwing the ball. But I think Miami does have a chance. It's going to be hard because the AFC is just so good and loaded this year. And even the teams that are ahead of them with losing records like the Bengals, I mean, they still have a chance, you know what I'm saying, to get the Bengals with Joe Burrow at quarterback and Jamar Chase at the wideout position. So it's going to be an interesting race for sure for these last few weeks. If everything goes right for the Dolphins, including themselves being able to control their own destiny by winning the games that they need to win throughout the rest of the season, I believe they'll be in a really good spot to get a playoffs position.
Yeah, they could be. And that's, I like your point about the Bengals. Like, Cincinnati's dropped some games they shouldn't have. And again, you got to consider how long Tua was out. I'll say this. You watch the Dolphins, you watch the Jaguars, and you watch the Cowboys. Why do I bring those three teams up? When you look at the performances, there was a lot of controversy when the Cowboys paid Dak, the Jaguars paid Trevor, and the Dolphins paid Tua for different reasons. You seen those teams without their guys? Like, you seen Miami without Tua, Dallas without Dak, and you seen the Jaguars without Trevor Lawrence. So it's not ideal to give Tua Tagovailoa the money that you gave him, but when he's able to put together performances, again, a little shaky, but he's still finding his rhythm, getting back into things. He could still be able to be successful. Finally, to you, Tyler, can the Dolphins at 3-6 make the playoffs?
It was a hell of a win against a formidable team yesterday in the Rams, but the battle is too big for them to climb. They still have the Packers and the Texans on the road, and then they have three teams ahead of them. One of them, Cincy. Cincy always plays good at this time of the year. And then, they're still got two other teams ahead of them that have much easier schedules. And then they have the Browns on the road, right? So looking at the schedule, he did make a good point. The next two games are easy. They might be able to pick up a few games, but it's just too much for them to overcome in too little time. I love Tua, man. Great guy. Wish him the best of health. I see them losing at least 3 more games. They're looking like a 10-loss team. No, I don't think they can make the playoffs.
A 10-loss team. Wow, they're going to lose it. Well, I mean, I could see it in the cards. I mean, you talk about the fact that that's something that Tua struggled with greatly, and Asher brought up the Packers game. Tua in freezing temperatures, not great. I mean, that's a cold game at Lambeau. You talk about
and you still got the Browns on the road.
The Browns on the road, Lake Erie, like that is a different monster, in late December. And that's a Sunday night game, by the way. At least that'll probably get flexed out, but that's where it's at now. And then they got the road game at the Jets. So that's winning these, the Dolphins, I think, as currently constituted, the only way, and it's obviously not going to happen this season, but the only way for them to make a serious, deep playoff run, like go to the AFC Championship game, for example, they got to get one of those top 2 seeds because, and have a lot of home playoff games because Tua, for whatever reason, arm strength, mobility, whatever the case may be, just cannot, win games in cold weather. So I think he makes some good points there. Tyler? Arthur is moving on once again. It's become an annual tradition, or a weekly tradition, rather, for Arthur. He's got 13 points. He's headed to the final round. And advancing as well, if I could pull this up here. If we can, we actually have a tie, ladies and gentlemen. Asher Moore, Tyler Redington tied at 7 points apiece. Tyler Redington and Asher Moore. So here's what we're going to do. And this is what we always do. Anytime it's a tiebreaker, in that second spot, there is a trivia question to decide. The winner, who obviously gets the trivia question right, advances to the final round. So, what's a good trivia question? All right. What can it say? This is, Klay Thompson returns to Golden State tonight. He broke the record in 2015 by scoring how many points in a quarter?
37.
Asher is going to the final round. Asher advances. Shout out to you, Tyler. Listen, big time performance for you once again. Hopefully we can have you on soon and in the future. But
how many dribbles, though? How many dribbles did he have?
11 dribbles.
Hey, that's okay. You're impressing me now. That's good stuff.
There you go. Listen, I'll tell you what. It's one of the greatest individual performances I've seen for getting basketball in a sport. 37 points scored in a span of 12 minutes did Klay Thompson against the Sacramento Kings in January of 2015. Tyler, going to be a fun one tonight between our Mavs and Warriors, but a great performance on your part tonight. Hopefully we can have you on the 8 o'clock spot once again in the future. But take care tonight, my man.
Go Mavs. Appreciate you having me on.
All right. That's Tyler Redington, big-time Gryd Network contributor. But we got the final round. Arthur, who's used to this, and Asher, his very first show, is in the final round. And the rules are pretty simple, folks. There's no best take, second best take. No, it's just the best take gets 10 points. It's the great equalizer in this 8 o'clock spot tournament. And we will talk about the Dallas Cowboys, who are continuously showing that they are arguably the worst team in the National Football League. Certainly without Dak Prescott in the lineup, but they lose badly. 34-6 to the Philadelphia Eagles at home. They still have yet to win a home game this season after going almost 2 years without losing a home game. They have not scored a touchdown in Jerry World since September the 22nd. So this is a bad team all the way around. It's a beat-up team. Mike McCarthy's in the hot seat. He's likely to go. The Cowboys season is lost, what we're trying to say. But how can they fix it? How can they go in this offseason and put themselves in a position where, age-old conversation, the Cowboys can compete for a Super Bowl? I'll start with you first, Arthur. How can the Cowboys best position themselves to fix all their problems and go into 2025 strong?
Hey, yo, Bryson, can you do me a favor? Can you put that Jerry Jones picture back up, please?
Yeah, sure. I'll do that.
Yeah. Him. Bruh, listen, dog. I was talking to somebody yesterday. You know who I think he wants to be so badly in the NFL?
Who's that?
Jerry Buss.
Huh.
Jerry Buss, back when he had the Lakers, had all these superstars, had everybody come into the Lakers, had everybody coming up to the Staples Center, and, you know, it's Hollywood, and we got the girls out here performing. We got Magic Johnson. Just look at them, ladies. Just look at that beautiful smile, right? Winning championships, though, by the way. We got Shaquille O'Neal. We got Kobe Bryant. Three-peating, by the way. Dude, you haven't won a Super Bowl since 1996. Biggie Smalls, more famously known as Notorious B.I.G., was still alive. We call you America's team. You haven't been America's team since 1996. America's team right now is looking like the Kansas City Chiefs. America's team, even though a lot of them wanted to hate on them during the dynasty, was the New England Patriots for a while. You have people coming in during Cowboys practices, taking tours. You're landing your helicopter on the field during practice. You're threatening people with their jobs because they're asking you certain questions. Dude, this offseason, you got to look in the mirror as Jerry Jones and really question and ask yourself, what do I need to do to get better? Because we can keep blaming Mike McCarthy. We can keep blaming Dak Prescott and the players. At the end of the day, an organization is ran how it looks from the top. Jerry Buss is one of the best that proved that with the Los Angeles Lakers. And you saw how many times that man won and is looked at as one of the best that ever did it. Jerry Jones need to ask himself that question. What do I need to do to get better so that my team and organization can be better?
Well, listen, he's 82 years old, I believe, if memory serves me correctly. As you mentioned, no Super Bowls since the 1995 season, 1996, the year of our Lord, to be exact. Yeah, it feels like every story each week with the Dallas Cowboys has little to do with football, and almost all. I'd say 75% of the story stems from Jerry, like 15% stems from Micah Parsons, and the last 10 from Mike McCarthy. Like we can say clown show. We can describe it however we want to describe it. You said they're not America's team anymore. Asher, I'll go to you. You're a Texans fan. I'm not quite sure they're Texas's team at this point. I know the Texans, I'm sorry about the loss on Sunday night, my man. That was brutal to watch. But I think the Texans at this point certainly have the upper hand, to put it mildly, in the Cowboys, who they're actually going to beat badly this week on Monday Night Football. But I'll go to you, Asher. Dallas' season is over. It's a wrap. But what can they do this offseason to position themselves to compete in 2025 and beyond?
Well, I'll start by saying that game against the Cowboys could not come at a better time for the Houston Texans. Rough loss on Sunday night, need to get right game. Let's turn our focus to Dallas. I think it all stems from who you have around you. Jerry Jones, notoriously, isn't going to surround himself with people who are going to give him answers he may not like to hear. For the Cowboys to be anything successful, Jerry Jones needs to figure that out first. You can't have a successful organization without having the right people around you. So, if you want a 3-step plan for how to fix the Dallas Cowboys, if we want to make it all neat and organized like that, it goes like this. Jerry Jones needs to hire a head of football operations to take care of all the player and roster decisions. Now, Jerry can have a say in this, but in order for Dallas to be successful, Jerry needs to get a guy in the building who knows their way around football, who knows who's the right players to bring in, who knows who's going to help the culture. Step number 2, you need to hire a good coaching staff. It doesn't just start with Mike McCarthy, but it's also the defensive and offensive coordinators. Now, when Dallas had Dan Quinn at defensive coordinator, it looked really good. Looked like there was a lot of improvement on that side of the ball. But guess what? Dan Quinn's no longer there. He's actually coaching your division rival. So you got to rebuild the coaching staff. Mike McCarthy, while he's won in the past, I don't want to say the game has passed Mike McCarthy get by, but I don't think Mike McCarthy is a winning head coach in the NFL. So there's step 2. Step 3, you got to draft well, and that kind of stems from both of my first 2 points. You get a good coaching staff and a good manager of football operations, then you can start drafting well. And like we've seen with the Detroit Lions and other successful organizations, not even in the NFL, you look at the MLB and other stuff like that. These teams are drafting well and then acquiring the free agents after they draft well. So Dallas needs to get someone in the building to take care of the football operations, someone on the sidelines to take care of the coaching, and Jerry Jones just needs to sit there and kind of be a figurehead. But will his ego let him do that? Who knows? I guess that's kind of up for us to see in the future.
Well, but that's the thing I think most Cowboys fans would be most skeptical about is, well, he hasn't done it for 30 years. Why the heck's he gonna is he gonna change things now? Now, the reality is Jerry Jones is 82 years old. Father Time is undefeated. Maybe it comes to that realization. Maybe it took a season this bad where the Cowboys, you look at their schedule, they may be favored to win one game the rest of the year. Like it could be either Carolina on the road or a home game on Thanksgiving against the Giants. Like there's not a lot of winning football ahead the rest of 2024 for the Cowboys. So maybe it takes a wake-up call like this. I'm skeptical, but, maybe that does happen for Jerry Jones. Both you guys, fantastic takes. If this were a regular one of the 3 rounds, I would give both you guys the best take in the segment. But, of course, it's the 8 o'clock spot. We have a champion on the show, and there could be only one. And the winner this week, episode 46 of the 8 o'clock spot is Asher Moore. Congratulations, Asher. You win the show this week, my man.
Let's go.
Asher,
Yes, sir.
thoughts?
First off, honored to be here. Didn't really get to say all the great pleasantries early on. You show up late to the party. It's kind of what you get. But I'm so grateful I could be on, kind of sit down and talk some ball. Bryson, not anything else I'd rather be doing right now. So just great that I could kind of give my takes, and hopefully not sound stupid in front of the whole audience.
Listen, and I'll get to Arthur just a second, but quickly, Asher, where can they find our show, The Triple Option?
Yeah, you can find it. Well, first off, follow the Instagram at Triple Option Sports. Posting, got some good little content things going there. Some more stuff coming soon in the future. All the stuff there, show updates and stuff. So Triple Option Sports on Instagram, and then through the Instagram, you can find the link to the live show on TuneIn. And stay tuned for other things. Working on getting where we can get some kind of some recordings of the show up and stuff too. So it's no longer just a live event. So a lot of things in the works there. But Triple Option Sports on Instagram, and then
Definitely. No, shout out to you, Asher. Arthur, thoughts? The three-peat, you come up short. The Kansas City Chiefs are hoping that is not the result of their three-peat opportunities. But Arthur, thoughts on your performance and Asher's performance on the show?
No, it definitely was a fun one, for sure. I think I know how Asher operates. I think I'm gonna have to see him one more time, but I think I got it down. So yeah, next time you're on the show, I'm gonna be a lot more prepared.
Listen, but both of you guys were fantastic. If Tyler's still with us, we can bring Tyler in for an encore, because obviously the Mavericks play my Warriors tonight. I don't know if Tyler's still with us, but if he's not, that is all the time we have for this week's edition of the 8 o'clock spot. Be sure to check us out next week at Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific time, live here on the Gryd Network's YouTube channel. Check out Arthur's got some stuff coming down the pipeline that I'm sure he's going to announce sooner rather than later. Very excited about that. Please check out the Triple Option. Myself, Asher Moore, Addison Ragland, TuneIn app is where you can find our show every Monday from 10 a.m. to noon Eastern, and then on Fridays from noon to 1 Eastern. Fantastic show, guys. Congratulations, Asher, on the win. Shout out to Arthur on another great performance as well. We will see you guys next week. Stay safe out there. God bless y'all. Peace out.